for that moment where you said to yourself, yep, we got this. Game over, we got it. And that's not how things worked out. Trae Young said it after his team, the Hawks, hit a bucket to put his team up by 6 over the Heat with less than a minute to go, and he thought the game was over with. Well, the Heat went down, knocked down a couple of three-point shots to tie things up, went to overtime, and absolutely destroyed the Hawks. After the game, Trae Young had to tweet something out. He tweeted out, "Welp." Exactly. So we're asking people what's the moment where they thought for sure their team had it. Let's go to Dave and Canton. Dave, welcome to 97 on the ticket.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Dave.
My got it moment was the Michigan State game and the punt at the end of the game. I mean, I'm thinking Michigan's got it. All we got to do is punt this away just seconds. And I went from heaven to hell in just a matter of seconds. So high to just down and out. I just could not believe it.
Yeah,
but that was my... Yeah.
The trouble with the snap game. Now, when we started talking about this, I'm not trolling, okay? I was not trolling being a Spartan fan. I'm not trolling Michigan fans. I totally forgot that this would be the obvious answer. Thanks for the call, Dave. I wasn't trolling. I'm not
Anytime
Rieger.
You can bring it up.
I'm not Rieger. I'm not going to troll the people on this. It was not my intention. I've certainly got games. I remember I was at the 2004 game in Ann Arbor when they went to triple overtime. Michigan State had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, and I was up there actually with Doug up in the press box area, and Doug had said something like, "Well, you guys got this." I'm like, "We don't have anything yet." Michigan just scored a touchdown, and I think they kicked an onside kick or something like that. I'm like, "No, this is not good." And got down to the field level before the game was over with, and I'm on the field, and Ryan Field, who was working at Fox at the time before he moved out to New York, Spartan grad as well, and he's talking to me, and he's like, "Gator, this is awesome. We're going to win this. When they win this, I can't wait to walk out onto the block M." And I'm like, "Dude, it's not over yet. It ain't over yet." I had a feeling that game was going south, and it did go south, and obviously Michigan State lost in triple overtime, and Braylon Edwards just owned Jaron Hayes from Michigan State. What a mismatch that was. They have a 6'4" receiver and a 5'9" corner, or 5'10" corner. It was just a mismatch, and they took advantage of it, and they won the game. Give credit to them. It was one of the worst feelings I've ever had in my life. So, no, I'm not trolling with this topic. And it's out, and it's over and done with. We no longer have to bring up trouble with the snap. See? I'm not mean. It's just I'm just looking for those other examples. Jeff in Ann Arbor, you are next up here, 97 on the ticket. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Gator, how are you?
I'm all right, man.
So I just thought of another one, but this one's sort of the opposite end. I remember about a little over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, Michigan went to Minnesota, and Michigan was getting blown out at the end of the third quarter. I turned the TV off. I said, I'm done. Next morning I wake up, and I'm going to work and talking to a buddy on the way to work, and I hear on the radio that Michigan came back and won. And I was in shock. But I thought of a better one, actually, that is on the other end. Is when Michigan played undefeated Illinois in basketball. And I was at that game at Chrysler. I think Michigan was up 10 or 11 with about 4.5 minutes to go. I look over at my friend and I go, "We got this." Of course, Illinois was undefeated at the time. And next thing you know, D. Brown just goes off and just takes the game over. And Michigan loses by 10.
Yeah, that was a pretty good Illinois team. Then they had a triple threat on that team. They had 3 guys that were outstanding. And
it was D. Brown, Luther Head, and I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, there was the other guy who just never missed free throws, and he was he was I think the guy that ended up having the best pro career. I forget who. It's going to bother me, but I'm sure somebody will ticket Texas as well. Thanks for the call, Jeff. I appreciate it. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. We're looking for that moment where you were certain that your team had it. You even declared it. It's over with. We got this. It's done. You were basically the jinx because it didn't work out that way. It's what happened with Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. He declared it was over when they were up by 6 with a minute to go. Now, I think this is funniest in basketball when somebody says it's over with, because in basketball, it seems like more than any other sport, things can change like that. You can have a 15-point lead with 2 minutes to go, and you can lose it because of strategies that get employed. pressure mounts, guys miss free throws. You got a 3-point line that can increase the value of the shot. Seems like basketball was one of those games where I have a hard time guaranteeing anything's over.
This is true, but there's also those dagger shots where you think that should be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sports. Nothing's really over till it's over, but
and everybody wants to call their shot,
They want to
too.
call the dagger shot, exactly. Like Trae Young. That 3, he thought, that's it. 6 points, less than a minute. It is over, boys. That's the dagger. And obviously he was wrong,
right.
But more times than not, they're usually right.
To the Karsch and Anderson inbox, Michigan-Kansas, the Trey Burke game. That game was over with U of M being down 10 with a minute and a half to go. The kiss of death statement, we got this. I said it more than once, betting horses. Don't. That's from Tim and Flint. Any Falcons fan would say that they had it against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Absolutely.
When money's on the line, you definitely don't say we got this. You don't say it's over. It's
No,
different when you're just a fan, like you're rooting for your team, of course, with all your might. I get it. But when there's actual money, people know anyone that bets sports, you never until you can cash in that ticket.
Right.
You don't say it's
No,
over.
sir. No, sir. No, you don't start counting anything unless it's completely done. From Tyler, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. I left the Super Bowl party at halftime. Thought you had it. Thought it was done. Just this past weekend, when the Saints scored that late touchdown to go ahead of the 49ers, I texted my buddies that Breeze did it again. And then they lost on a last-second field goal. Lost our bet as well. That's from Tony in Westland.
I don't feel bad for Saints fans because obviously they've won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they've had some pretty rough losses recently.
I don't care.
I know. Like I said, I don't feel bad. I'm just saying, I'm pointing out that this past weekend, like the texter just mentioned, the Saints-Vikings game I mentioned, the non-pass interference call.
What?
I'm just saying.
Is that a problem?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that non-pass
Hey,
interference
it's all
call.
worth it to win a Super Bowl. I'd take it.
Yeah, and they did win a Super Bowl. That non-pass interference call, of course, it changed everything. Now you can review that. And nice 180 the NFL has done now on the reviews. What are they doing? Like for the first 10 weeks of the season, you were guaranteed to get the thumbs down if you wanted to review the pass interference calls, right? The last 2 weeks, the NFL has changed. And now it seems like you got a legitimate shot to get the call overturned.
Well, they've opened it up a little bit.
They've opened it up more than a little bit. And it's not that I don't think they're the borderline calls that are now going. No. I think that it's like calls that you knew were pass interference before were not getting called when you tried to challenge them. Now they realize we've made a mistake. We're being too punitive. Let's start calling it when it is, again, obvious. Well, it's obvious. No, I don't have any sympathy for the Saints fans. Not even a little bit. Because the Saints had a chance to still win the game last year. They had the ball. Could have scored. Drew Brees threw an interception, right? You screwed up. Don't blame it on the bad call. Certainly don't litigate it, for crying out loud. Awful. Scott's on his cell phone. Scott, welcome to 97.1 The Ticket.
Hey, Gator, what's shaking, man?
How are you?
Man, I'm all right. So I grew up in Kansas, and I'm a Chiefs fan. And take your mind back last January in the AFC Championship game, watching the game in the living room with my family. That last drive, Chiefs are up. Brady throws the pick, right? I scoop my 2-year-old son up off the ground. We're high-stepping around the living room like Deion Sanders. Maybe we're going to the Super Bowl.
That was a pass where he threw it to Gronk, and it went off Gronk's hands and tipped right into the Chiefs' hands, right?
Yeah, and that was also the play that Dee Ford was lined up 3.5 miles offside.
That's right, which is why it was called back. Yep.
I hear my wife say, "Hey, there's a flag," and it was like the moment of, oh man, it was like every emotion you can ever imagine, all in like what probably in reality was 3 seconds of my life. And of course, Brady then driving down the field, converting like 3, 4th, and 8, and throws the game-winning touchdown, and we go home.
Yeah, that was thanks for the call. I appreciate it, Scott. It's funny because I really didn't remember that at all until last week. I was watching, I think it was one of the Fox NFL pregame shows, and they had Gronk on, and they were talking about that specific game and how bad Gronk felt that he couldn't bring that pass in, that it went off his fingertips, and then Kansas City picked it off, and then they showed that the player for Kansas City, D Ford, was lined up offside, way offside, and then Gronk ends up getting a touchdown at the end. I mean, that's just how things work. It's maddening. It's so maddening.
That goes back to one of our topics we did recently, that what just blows your mind that your team does that should be so simple. Yeah. And, and they do it anyways, and one of his is lining up
offside. Like, how do you do that? How does that happen?
Where's the ball? Where are you? Get behind that. That's
Don't
it, right?
Line up offside. It's seemingly that simple, and yet they do it all the time. This is 97.1, The Ticket.